Thank you so much, Prinkan, for joining us on a podcast at Dawdle. Extremely grateful that you took out time to share about the innovative things that you have been building up. If you could run us through your experience so far to give a good context to our audience.
Yeah, sure. I am engineer by background. Happened to get into the data analytics industry early in my career, which kind of transformed me into a data analytics professional over the years, rather an engineer with a very good flair of data analytics and data science. AI engineering is something that I have been working on from the past, I would say, 5 to 6 years now. 15 years in this industry, but then played multiple different roles, etc. As of now, I think in 2023, I started my entrepreneurial journey once again. And here I am building Intugle.
You describe Intugle as an agentic AI for data teams. So could you walk us through the founding insight? What is that gap in today's enterprise data landscape did you set out to solve?
Yeah. So if you look at any kind of AI implementations in any industry, right, or any company, the adoption is really dependent on how accurate or contextually accurate the output of the AI system is to the end users. Now, this is primarily driven by, I would say, two aspects. One, that how good is the data, the enterprise data, in terms of the structured and unstructured data that the systems that are living in the systems. And the second is the tribal knowledge that is within the employees of the enterprises. Right. So bringing this together in a rich contextual meaning or knowledge is what is very crucial for the success of any kind of AI implementation or solution. And this is where we saw a big gap. Right. So if you look at enterprises in the last decade, they have spent millions and billions of dollars in building data lakes, warehouses, and BI reporting systems. But as we move to the era of this generative AI, where you are trying to automate a lot of things using AI agents, a lot of processes using AI agents, um, a lot of adoption, or I would say a lot of success in production, really suffers due to poor quality of data, lack of contextual meaning, ability of the user's trust on the system, or the gap in users' trust on the system because of inaccurate responses, or I would rather say confidently wrong responses that the AI systems produce. And that is where we said that, hey, everyone is chasing data for AI, but what if we could think of AI for data, the tremendous amount of work or the manual cumbersome process that goes in prepping the data or cleaning the data and getting the data right and harnessing the tribal knowledge and getting it right for AI. What if we could have put an AI system in place to do that in an autonomous way is where we started our journey.
Got it. And your platform emphasizes, semantic understanding, business context, and policy awareness across data silos. So how do you technically build this context layer on top of existing data warehouses, lakes, and lake houses?
Yeah, I think that is also very important. See, like I said, companies have already invested like, millions of dollars in building their data lakes and warehouses. And now, if we try to create another large scale data platform, it will be a multi-year journey once again, which doesn't yield to a business ROI, right? So what we said is, what if we could build a layer of rich semantic knowledge in form of metadata on top of the existing lakes and warehouses. And this rich semantic knowledge can then be used to navigate, or can then help the AI to navigate across those data silos or across those lakes and warehouses to get the accurate or precise insight. Now, in this process, there are a couple of things that we do. One is, it is easier said than done, because as an enterprise, you have so much of data of different types, different sitting in different formats and of different kind of business context, etc. How do you bring all of them together? Now, if it has to be done in a manual process, it's not really sustainable or scalable. And that is where we built I would say, an agentic AI pipeline that basically learns from the enterprise data itself to generate the semantic layer as step one. And then it conducts interviews or gather answers to questions where it sees as gaps from the employees or from the users of those data within the enterprise, to enrich that semantic layer and ensure that it is complete, it is holistic, and it is meaningful to provide highly contextually accurate results for the AI.
Got it. And one of the claims that Intugal, does is that it kind of converts raw data to AI ready data in minutes, not months. So what are those key technical differentiators or architectural choices that allow such acceleration compared to traditional solutions?
Yeah. So I think the most important part of the aspect is that we are not another company which is trying to replicate the entire enterprise data in form of a knowledge graph, or where we are deploying, ontologists or specialists in knowledge graph who will sit and build the enterprise ontology. Rather, we are deploying AI agents which can autonomously do that on the fly at a hyper accelerated pace, right? So imagine now you as an enterprise have 10 different data systems, and there are these AI agents. So we have specialized agents for different tasks. So we have an AI data architect, we have an AI data engineer, we have an AI data steward, and an AI data analyst. Now, these agents come together to scan the data, understand different heuristics of the data, automatically maps data of system A with system B, system C, system D, and creates that layer of knowledge, which we call as the intelligent knowledge graph in form of a metadata. Now, when you want to build a use case, this metadata has to be manifested or materialized into something called as a data product. Let's take a simple example of customer 360. Now, in a customer 360, for let's say a typical large enterprise, your customer is touching your CRM, your order systems, your support systems, etc., and they are identified with very different attribute, with very different nomenclature across these different systems. Now, let's say this semantic knowledge has already solved the first problem of mapping all of these attributes, across these systems, and it already tells you that a customer in is something like as a C underscore ID in your, let's say, orders is KUNN ID T code in your SAP system, is OPP ID in your Salesforce, is subs ID in your service now, and whatnot. Now, when you are trying to build a customer 360 where you want customer attributes across all of the systems, we have another layer of graph traversal. It's a graph traversal algorithm which basically traverses this and translates it into a federated query. What is a federated query? In simple terms, it's a query that can individually break down specific customer attributes, or to query specific customer attributes from these different sources that I talked about. It can push it down to the source, bring the relevant attributes, and combine them all together into one single view for the end user. And all of this happening autonomously through agents in a very deterministic manner. So that federation of the query then allows you to manifest it into a customer 360 data product, which basically otherwise you would have taken a couple of weeks to sit and write the source target mapping sheets, write the ETL code, test it, and then push it to production, etc., etc. So all of this is happening through AI agents, the 4 AI agents I talked about, in collaboration to make it possible almost in real time.
Now, when we talk about agentic AI, it kind of implies autonomous decision making by data systems. In your view, where is the boundary between machine autonomy and human oversight, especially in enterprise use cases with governance, compliance, and risk?
Yeah. So, like I said, while there is a lot of automation happening in terms of, or rather, I would say intelligent automation happening in terms of mapping out the data, create explanations or data dictionaries, data catalogs, and then formalizing it into data products, at each and every step, it is important that we provide explainability of why agent is performing or why agent has done certain task. Now, all that calls or all that actions of done by the agents are logged and then validated through certain statistical inferences, one. And second, the system is designed in a way where at any point of time, if human or a subject matter expert come want to override the agent generated recommendation or agent generated action, they can absolutely do that. They can roll back the action, they can override the recommendation, and they can put in their subject matter expertise, and the agent automatically, or the agentic system automatically learns from the human feedback, right? So in some sense it's a self-learning agent through human feedback or continuous human loops. And also, wherever there are some critical decisions which we believe needs a subject matter expert to kind of do the validation before it progresses. So for an example, when the semantic model is generated, before even it is available to to end users for using it for different use cases, we always recommend a subject matter expert, a human subject matter expert, to come validate it and then publish it for others to consume. Whenever a data product is getting generated, code that is getting generated, the lineage of the data product, all of that that is identified or generated by the AI system is automatically flagged to the human as I mean, to the human developers or the data engineers as pieces of code that they should look at and want to approve or accept the changes made by the agent or the code that is generated by the agent before it is actually pushed to production. Similarly, once it goes to production, there's a continuous observability that is baked into the system that allows the signals to come in front of the human who is basically responsible for monitoring that, or basically responsible for that particular data product's availability to the business, so that at any point of time, if they want to make any changes or roll back any changes, they are able to do so with just a single click of a button. So all of those governance is very crucial by design of the system. And we don't believe that by principle of the organization, we don't believe that it is a complete autonomous AI without having humans by the side. We always believe that the system has to operate in a way where human and machines collaborate and coexist in a real enterprise implementation.
Yes. And just a side question, Prinkan, like, you come with very, kind of very deep experience. Like, you're not a kind of a founder, who kind of started a company just after a year or two. So why did you, kind of decide to start, such kind of an, of a solution? What was the trigger point like?
Okay, so that would need me to talk a bit about my career, right? So
Yes.
a large part of my career I have spent as a data engineering leader in analytics services organization. So one of the organizations I used to work with was Bridge I2I. Been very fortunate to be a very early member and roll up the grow the career levels there. But one thing that I always asked myself is, why is the role that I am playing really required? And what was that role? The role was about managing a huge army of data engineers and machine learning engineers, and most of the times that or most of their time used to go in managing data ops and machine learning ops, right? And what I always kind of asked a question is, if the amount of time, and that was like 70% of their time, which is around the ops, can be taken away from, which is around infra ops, which is around data quality ops, which is around data transformation operations, which is around BI operations, which is around model lifecycle management operations, right? If all of this operational stuff can be taken away through certain kind of intelligent automation from these developers, from these data engineers, from these ML engineers, then they could do a lot more innovative work which humans are actually supposed to do. So what I really felt bad about the data engineering services industry is that while we humans come with lot of intelligence, our potential is not really utilized, because the way existing softwares are also designed. If you look at a Databricks, if you look at a Snowflake, a lot of intelligence is there. A lot of innovation has been done in how the workload should be optimized, how compute optimization should happen, how storage optimization should happen, how memory optimization should happen. But till date, any of these tools that you look at requires significant amount of cognitive intelligence that comes the humans in order to do even basic operational tasks or processes. That was my first hand experience as a data engineer myself, who grew to be a data engineering leader. And that made me realize that this needs to change. And that is where I said that, what if I could augment this intelligence that comes from humans using AI, and make space for the humans to evolve to their next level of innovation, where they can focus on what is more important than doing the day-to-day ops job.
And now, as you scale into the enterprise market, what are the go-to market challenges have you encountered around adoption of a fundamentally new data model versus more familiar BI or data warehouse offerings?
Yeah, I think obviously, see, for us, the product that we have built, we make some very bold claims, and it takes people who have built an entire ecosystem out of a particular kind of a belief to digest that, right? So, for an example, we say that ETLs are going to be dead, or ETLs have a very new definition in the modern world. We also say that the typical medallion architecture of building bronze, silver, and gold layers of your data lakes, and then enabling your businesses or reporting systems are going to be dead, are going to be completely non-existent in the coming years, right? And this obviously gives us a lot of pushback, because people have believed in the ethos of a medallion ecosystem. People believed in the ethos of how ETL has worked traditionally, Informatica, Talent, and there are many other ETL tools which people are accustomed to. We are saying that the fundamental ethos with which those are built is irrelevant in today's world, right? We live in a world where data transformation and data consumption, right, has to happen through a push mechanism and not by a pull mechanism. If you really see, developers continue to pull data from source, they continue to transform, then again pull it to another layer, then put it there. But that is not how the modern systems or modern businesses work anymore. The demand is always getting generated. It used to be generated all earlier in the past, and will continue to get generated from the business. So the demand is generated downstream, and it has to be driven from downstream, not that there is a upstream process which will make things available for downstream, right? And yeah, so some of those challenges we continue to face, but we have also seen, I would say, 90% of the cases where customers or prospects have gone away from a particular kind of a, I mean, they come with a particular kind of a belief, thought process, and when they see our platform, they say this is too good to be true. They go back, but they also come back. In 90% of the cases, they have all come back to us, and today they are all our customers. I am very happy to say that the 10 enterprise customers that we have are the ones that who finally believed in the vision and the mechanism in which we are building the entire platform.
Now, when you see many of the enterprises, they struggle with legacy data silos, disparate systems, and incomplete metadata and poor data quality. So, how does Intugal help overcome these data foundational problems before the AI agent capabilities can deliver value?
So see, we have two. So we look at the entire life cycle of analytics or AI development life cycle from two angles, upstream and downstream. Now, what you just asked is the problem of downstream agents, where you need the data to be ready of a certain kind of a quality, stitched together in a form of a knowledge which can be navigated by these agents. On the upstream side, what Intugal has a bunch of agents that actually automates the exact task that a data engineer or a data steward or a data architect would otherwise do for an organization, right? Starting from the point that it tries to understand the health of the data. It identifies quality gaps and recommends what are the fixes. It stitches the data attributes together through a semantic knowledge. It generates the meaning of the data at an attribute level, at a table level, at a data set level, in natural English language or in a business language, so that it is easier for a business person who is looking for the data or Googling for the data to understand the data. All of these, right, is done through an automated way using AI agents, which are inbuilt in Intugle's platform. So that is the core differentiator for us to provide that ready-made data product or ready-made semantic layer for the downstream agents to consume and produce highly accurate and contextual results for different kind of use cases.
Got it. And how do you see the competitive landscape evolving, especially in the agentic data platforms? Like, what are the adjacent or emerging categories that you monitor, and how do you differentiate?
See, I think I have seen two kinds of companies in this entire agentic AI for data space. So there is one kind of companies who are basically trying to put in a lot of AI features in terms of driving productivity gains or some kind of rich user experience on the already existing tech stack or tools. However, I look at it as sprinkling the AI sauce on stale leftovers, because you are already uh, you're already having a lot of tech debt in the software that you have built, and now you are trying to kind of adapt to that ecosystem, or tell that I also belong here in this era by just putting in some AI features. Those tools, while might be momentarily helpful, does not add a lot of value to the customers. And obviously, Intugle is in the other category and not in that category. The other category that I see are players who are really um, either disrupting themselves. They are saying that, hey, whatever we have done is history. It's time for us to rebirth, right? And they are completely disrupting their entire tech stack and building and looking at how, what is the new definition of data extraction, what is the new definition of data quality, what is the definition of data, whether you call it as transformation, data productization, data consumption, anything around data to insight journey in the entire AI development life cycle. They are continuously disrupting themselves. And obviously there are startups who are doing greenfield implementations because they are starting from ground zero, right? uh, Now I think one of the key differentiator for Intugle has been that we always believed in one single fact, that whatever happens, any AI to be successful, data is of utmost importance, and the most complex problem within, or most complex problem to handle data with AI is the fact that it needs to be highly accurate. We know AIs obviously have a probabilistic nature of operations, and therefore the key piece to it is how do you bring in lot of determinism into the ecosystem of AI, right? When, especially when you are doing a lot of data processing, etc. So our focus in whatever we built as a solution, whether these are agents, whether these are models, whether these are frameworks, has always been focused around accuracy. So we said that there are plethora of software technologies in the market that will allow me to scale, whether it is on a distributed compute, whether it is on a federated querying mechanism, whatever. But I want to focus more on getting it right and getting it right contextually to the ecosystem that I am living. If I am doing an implementation for a bank versus I am doing an implementation for a healthcare organization versus for a retail organization, it has to work equally well. So therefore, the biggest challenge is when you are not focusing on only one domain, and when your customers are across multiple industries and multiple verticals, how do you build an AI system which is so accurate and so deterministic in nature? So we had to reinvent the entire algorithmic pipeline ourselves, and that's what we did.
Got it. And from your perspective, Prinkan, like what are the most promising enterprise use cases you are seeing for your platform today? And what does the success looks like in terms of metrics, business value, and ROI?
See, I think in terms of ROI, I mean, so what was the first part of your question? What are the most successful?
What are the most promising enterprise use cases that you are
Okay.
seeing for your platform today?
Okay.
Yes.
So for our platform, there are two most promising use cases that I have seen. One is enterprise search, that is enterprise search on structured and unstructured data. So it is like it's like a Google for your enterprise running on top of your enterprise data systems, right? So that's one. And the second is enterprise analytics. When I say enterprise analytics, it is primarily about from raw data, how quickly you can go to insight that helps businesses make a decision. Now I would say in terms of value, we have been able to show significant amount of, I would say almost 10x hyper acceleration in terms of getting the customers from raw data to finished data products or AI ready data products. That is one key value proposition. The second thing is contextual accuracy. Many of our customers came to us and said that, hey, we tried something internally, or we did a POC or we did a pilot, but when we are trying to scale it in production, the adoption is not great because the accuracies are not great. Users are not expecting what or rather users had an expectation which the AI is not able to live up to. Now obviously take it with a pinch of salt, because there is an education that needs to happen on the user side also. It's not just the AI that needs to be tuned. But one of the key value proposition that we give is that we definitely will be able to take your contextual accuracy, 50% higher than where you are today. So in most of the cases that we have delivered, our contextual accuracies for the downstream use cases is greater than 90% validated through user feedback, right? There are multiple ways of calculating accuracies, but we typically measure the user accuracy by capturing the end user feedback. And that is where we have gone above 90% in all the use cases that we have implemented. So contextual delivering greater than 90% contextual accuracy is something we boast about. Delivering raw data to AI ready data products at a 10x speed is what we are very proud about. And obviously, at the speed at which we operate and with the accuracy which we deliver, the adoption of any kind of AI system built on top of our platform goes significantly higher. So we have seen significant amount of user adoption also happening in all of these use cases.
With the rising concerns around privacy, ethics, and modern model explainability and regulatory oversight, how do you bring in trust, transparency, and governance into this autonomous agentic data system?
Okay, so couple of things we always focused on. One is anything that we do is backed by explainability, meaning if anyone looks at our products feature, any AI generated recommendation or AI generated action has a very clear traceability path to why something has happened and what has led to this recommendation, right? So that is one. Second is we also have put lots of checks and balance in place of our entire architecture to ensure that the AI model and the enterprise database or the enterprise data systems does not directly talk to each other, and there is a layer or there is a middleware which acts as the filtering mechanism for any kind of threats or vulnerabilities that might come along the way. Right. Third is we very strictly follow industry compliance best practices, whether it is around SOC 2, whether it is around ISO 42001. We are one of the first startups to kind of adopt ISO 42001 um, in order to ensure that when we are dealing with enterprise, customer data, sensitive data in an enterprise kind of a setup, while we continue to deliver value of our customers, we do not compromise on security and privacy. So those are few of the ways.
And when you look ahead, like 3 to 5 years down the line, how do you envision the role of data team evolving in enterprises?
So I honestly think that today, if you see, data teams are primarily working as back office teams, and they do not get a seat with the business in kind of any decision making, right? I really see that the data teams evolving to take up some of these decisions, some of the seats in decision making process along with the business, instead of becoming back office teams. I see data teams to be evolving as AI engineers, data scientists who are solving more who are delivering more business specific solution with a high ROI than just being back office teams trying to move data and transform data and supply data. So more than it from a data provider to a data driven decision making enabler is where I see these data teams becoming in the coming years.
Thank you so much, Prinkan, for joining us. And thank you so much for sharing your insights with us. Very valuable session, will help a lot of people around, especially the data teams all across the globe. And, we at Dawdle wish you all the best with the innovative solution that you have built. Thank you so much, Prinkan.
Thank you.